What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Black men, I'm gonna need y'all come to the front of the classroom. Black men, black men, black men, I'm gonna need y'all to come and sit in front of the classroom. We gotta have a talk. Black men. And yes, everybody else listening to Black News, if you ain't a black man, we all sitting in the front. You sit next to each other. Gather around. Come to the front of the class. Black men in particular, though, I want black men to come to the front of the class because we need to have a talk and we need to have some dialogue because we're at the point where we need to know what the hell is going on and if what we hear in the chatter is that's going on is real or fake. Because a part of me want to believe it's fake. A part of me know it's real. Black men, come to the front. Come on. Come to the front of the classroom. Have a seat right there. Pull that desk out. Pull the chair out. Sit right there. This passed, and it's going to be some heavy election talk. So I'm giving y'all, I told y'all before, every week, I'm going to give an election update if I have one to share. And this week it's been a doozy. In particular, talking about the Black community and voting, in particular, voting for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. Somehow, some way, everything came to a head in regards to the Black male demographic this past week, and we're going to get into it. So, if you on social media, and if you're not on social media, there's a tendency for you to experience multiple different things. And I'm giving you my perspective in real time and also what I'm seeing. On social media, there seems to be a resurgence or a huge demographic, and it's magnified because it's social media and it's in a vacuum. There seems to be a large demographic of Black men who are against supporting Kamala Harris for president, and that same demographic of men eagerly supporting Donald Trump, the red hats. Now, different platforms give you different things. In particular, if you on X, aka Twitter, y'all know Elon done switched up the algorithm to make it a hateful platform. He designed the platform to be what it is. So it is a possibility that those messages are being promoted more than other things. But also this on TikTok and on Facebook and so on. Now, if you off social media, and this is me being off social media, having conversations with my friends, Black men are in support of Kamala Harris. They are ready to vote. You know, they understand what needs to happen. They understand what's at stake. Supreme Court, federal judges, laws, abortion, Dobbs. That people know, and we on tap and ready to get going. But also in real life, I have removed myself from spaces that don't include conversations that skew on the uneducated side. Now, I'm not saying a certain demographic is uneducated, but I don't be talking and hanging out with those spaces. So I don't know what everybody is saying in person. I only know from what I see in my experience. But apparently the polls, news commentators, because they always talk about how black men switch is moving over to Donald Trump. What's wrong? When actuality, the demographic that we need to worry about voting for Donald Trump is actually white women. We know that for a fact. White women turned their back and voted for the red hats before. This time, personally, I don't expect anything different. But black men are always in everybody's mouths about supporting who they gonna support. They switching sides. And switching sides, I say that because people assume that because black women vote the way that we vote drastically for the Democratic Party. They think black men supposed to do the same. Every demographic is every demographic and everybody got their own needs. But I said all that to say, apparently they had kind of got back to Barack Obama. President Barack Obama. And I imagine, because Barack ain't in the streets talking. He talking to people in his demographic. And the first thing I thought when Barack Obama was videoed in Pittsburgh at a campaign stop of talking to black men and said what I'm about to play, what he said. The first thing I thought of was Barack in spaces with men in his demographic, I wouldn't be surprised if they are saying this to him as well. But the gist of it was there seems to be some resistance and hesitancy from Black men in regards to voting for Kamala Harris, a Black woman, and they trying to make up excuses about why they can't when the other person that they're saying that they're going to vote for will disrespect and has denigrated us to our faces. So the concept of not voting for her doesn't make sense and is unacceptable. Let me play the clip and then we're going to talk about the frenzy, the media and conversation frenzy and backlash and everything that has happened as a result in addition to other things. So I'm going to play the clip, the Barack Obama clip first, and then we're going to get into that piece.
Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. That's not it. This shouldn't even be a question.
Child, after that, the hit dogs was hollering. How? I'm talking about straight how howling. The hit dogs was a hollering. Now, I'm not saying everybody hit dog, but when I heard that, I thought he's right. There are certain people who have a problem. And listen, if you are in corporate America, or even if you're not in corporate America, you can be within the blue collar sector as a woman. You have seen firsthand, whether it's from your own experience or you observing it on the other end, where some men have a problem with women being authority figures. This isn't some mythical thing that just is being discussed. We see this happening in real time. We see and hear some men vocalizing that they have a problem with women in leadership. Hell, look at the black church and the white church. Look at the church in general. You have some people within the church who don't even want women to be deacons, feeling like women shouldn't have leadership positions in the house of the Lord. So let's not act like people don't have a problem with women in leadership. But when I heard Barack Obama say that, I said, the brother's right. He right. And I'm happy that he took the opportunity and the time to speak on that in his position. But child, when I tell you, people was mad, men and some women, but not married. It was like a lot of men pissed at Barack Obama. He ain't ever done nothing for the black community. I don't know why he feel like he got the authority to speak. He played out anyway. We don't even fool with him. Why he chastising us? He need to go somewhere. Where is his? He didn't have no plan for black people. He didn't do nothing. I'm sorry. What? First of all, when did we stop liking Barack Obama? Am I the only one who does not dislike Barack Obama? I think maybe I had an I don't know. My expectation of what Barack Obama was supposed to do in office was exactly that. Um, he's the first black president. He wasn't gonna be the first N-word president. Let's keep it a buck, because that's what some people wanted. They wanted him to act like the red hat. But Congress and Mitch McConnell literally said he's gonna spend his whole time in office trying to make sure that none of Barack Obama's accomplishments went through, none of his plans went through. Barack Obama, we got Obamacare. Do y'all know how many black people did not have health care before Obamacare? Remember they were gonna let the auto industry fail? I'm sorry, my daddy got to keep his job because the Barack Obama saved General Motors. So I don't know what, maybe I'm missing something. But also, when did we stop heeding advice from our elders and from the OGs? I saw somebody on social media say Barack ain't our unk. He ain't our unk. What? He ain't our unk? Since when? What? This man has achieved a level of accomplishment that damn near no one achieves. He is educated, he is well read, he is a great communicator, he is good to his family, he's a good father, a good husband from what we see, because we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but I feel like we would have known because they all up in his business. He's married to a woman like Michelle. In what world would we not heed his counsel? Especially coming from a lot of people who ain't done shit. Now I'm gonna keep it real in that regard. A lot of us need to be careful about who we declare ain't done stuff and ain't good and ain't bad, when we ourselves, we on the totem pole of being shit. Some of us ain't shit. And I ain't speaking for myself, but I'm just saying. But the hit dogs was hollering. And so this then continued the conversation to say Kamala Harris and Joe Biden don't got a plan for black men. What are they going to do for black men? What's the plan for black men? And we started seeing other people simultaneously addressing that. I also realized it doesn't seem like people know what they want the plan for black men to be. And I don't know whose job that is to decide that, because everybody don't want the same thing and desire the same thing. But with Barack Obama's comments and people screaming at Kamala Harris's campaign about black men, what do black men want? Now, I'm about to play this clip from Roland Martin. He did an interview was on a panel with some black men talking about Barack Obama, like this whole conversation, right? And I'm playing it because for me, it highlighted, one, people don't know what they want, but two, I feel like if people would just stop talking and got on the same page, or even open up a notepad and started jotting some shit down, we would come up with some things and a list of things that would be beneficial to black men. And I'm not talking about reparations, because Congress is not going to pass reparations for black people. I don't know if I'm being cynical with that. I just don't see the Congress that we have, Republican and Democrat, passing reparations and it not being struck down by the Supreme Court. They couldn't even get student loan relief passed. And even if they did pass it, y'all, they not going to just be giving out $50,000 so you can buy a Dodge Charger. Like, that's not going to close the racial wealth gap, which is what we've been complaining about in regards to black people and us being oppressed in this country this whole time. That is not going to close the racial wealth gap. You can spend that money. It's gonna be home ownership, tax breaks, education. It's gonna be something. I'm gonna get to that though. Let me play this Roland Martin clip, and then we're gonna talk about this. And it's noisy, so it's noise in the background. Y'all know I'm sorry.
Those specific things of being a male that allows gender-specific problems that necessarily sometimes get lost in the greater conversation.
Right. Like what?
Right. I mean, so school to prison pipelines.
But here's the deal. If I pull the data right now, the suspension rates for black boys is on par with the suspension rates of black girls. So again, the only thing I'm asking is when I hear the nuances of black men. What I want to know is, what's the nuance?
Well, economic opportunity. I would say that's one of them. Funding for education. Our education system is broken.
Okay, let's stop right there. Okay, funding for education. If black boys going to school and the black girls going to school, they're under the same funding paradigm. No. I'm not talking college. I'm talking like elementary school, middle school, high school. So, school funding is not based upon gender. School funding is based upon enrollment.
But I would also say representation is extremely important for young black males as well.
Representation of what?
Like teachers in the classroom.
That's right.
There needs to be more black teachers, more black male presence in the classroom.
So here's what I'm trying to get at. I've had this conversation in so many different places, but what rarely happens are folks actually identifying the specific things that are different and they want addressed that then somebody can then address. And that to me is where the struggle is. I think what we have to, because here's what we have to do. We have to actually push back when somebody throws it out to force them to be specific. So, for instance, in this piece, and I've actually heard it, in this piece, the brother said, there's a perception that the Democratic Party is a party of women. Because, I'm telling you, I've heard this. A lot of brothers are bothered by when they hear Black Girl Magic. And I'm just, if we're going to do with perceptions, I've heard this. I've heard brothers say, all I'm seeing are women being appointed and being touted. And I then go, okay, so they've done 200 federal judges, 58 black.
He goes on to say they've done federal judges. Recently, there has been an influx of federal judges that have been black women, but overall, there are a vastly more black male federal judges. So this uptick that we see now doesn't address the long-term impacts that we just haven't been appointed. He also talks about leadership in the Democratic Party, how they say there's a lot of women being promoted to leadership, but then he points to Hakeem Jeffries, who's a black man. He points to the head of the DNC, who's a black man. He does all of these things to say, what we talking about here? But that, again, I go back to my question. Black men in the front of the class, what do black men want? What we want? Okay. And I'm not saying this to be mean or angry, but we got to get to the point in the area, the section where we talk about solutions. And I don't want to hear about what no Ice Cube and I don't know. We talking about the average black man. What do we feel like will be beneficial and will help get black men whatever they need? And you notice all of these conversations aren't about, and nowhere in here do we say black women. And I bring that up because regardless of how black men feel and are these conversations, the fact still remains that black women are still the most disenfranchised people in this country. But I'm wondering if the focus isn't on black women because we found a way and we figured it out. Not figured it out to solve the problem, but the fact is black women entrepreneurship is skyrocketing. Black women in education is skyrocketing. Degrees, job, like earning power, baby, we cooking. So I love the conversation about black men won't, but hey, where black women at? And y'all gonna leave us to figure it out on our own? We can do it, but I just want to call that in because I just want to call that in. Now, with that in mind, Vice President Kamala Harris, this whole time she has been the vice president, has been having forums with black men, has been connecting with black men. We've seen pictures and footage of black men coming to the vice president's residence. We've seen all of this. We talked about when she was a prosecutor and a district attorney, the first step back or the step up, whatever it was called, that helped to get black men who were incarcerated back on track after being released. We've debunked all of the rumors and the misinformation saying that she was locking black men up. Come to find out, when the she was a prosecutor, the only like 40 some people were prosecuted in her office for marijuana, and they wasn't even all black, not the thousands people were saying. And then while she was not a senator, but the position I forget that she was before she became the senator, that she didn't even try those cases. She was trying transnational gangs and shit. So we debunked that. She's had all these conversations. Today, the Harris campaign said, you know what? Black man, we got something for you. She released a plan for black men that addresses some of what people have been saying. So she said, you know what? I got you. Black men, we ain't got no plan for you. Hold my beer. She said, hold my Zima. Okay? This is the plan. And this is going to be lengthy. So bear with me because I'm reading this, but I want to make sure that we got the plan on tape. And some of this I'm abbreviate because it is a lot. Number 1, providing 1 million loans that are fully forgivable to Black entrepreneurs and others to start a business. Building on our plans to help more small businesses start, innovate, and expand by increasing the tax deduction for small businesses from $5,000 to $50,000, supporting innovation hubs and business incubators, and cutting unnecessary red tape. Vice President Harris today is announcing plans to provide 1 million loans that are fully forgivable of up to $20,000 to Black entrepreneurs and others who have a good idea but don't have the resources, connection, or access to capital to get their business off the ground. Number 2, championing education, training, and mentorship programs that help Black men get good paying jobs in high demand industries and lead their communities, including pathways to become teachers. Roland Martin, in the clip I just played, you talked about, addressed the person on the panel saying, we need Black teachers. Great. Number 2 of the plan is talking about Black teachers. That includes investing in more Black male teachers, like I mentioned, promoting registered apprenticeships and credentialing opportunities in the Black community, because the You Need College crowd said that they want apprenticeships and they want to get certifications. So this addresses that. Also, strengthening the public service loan forgiveness program, because we need to get them loans forgiven. And investing in leadership training and mentorship programs. Number 3, supporting a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and other digital assets so Black men who invest in and own these assets are protected. Now, this tells me right now that I know for a fact that she be talking to Black men, because you know, if you ever met a Black man, he gonna talk your head off about some cryptocurrency, y'all. If you ever talk to a Black man who be talking, you know he done talked your head off about crypto. If somebody tell me Vice President Harris don't be talking to no Black man, point to number 3, because they gonna talk your head off about this one and what else? The last one, which I'm gonna get to. But next, launching a national health equity initiative focused on Black men that address sickle cell disease, diabetes, mental health, prostate cancer, and other health challenges that disproportionately impact them. Child, y'all been telling Black men, y'all been saying y'all need mental health support, and ain't nobody there for y'all. Y'all been talking about going to the doctor and having health care. Number 4 addresses that. Number 5, legalizing recreational marijuana and creating opportunities for Black Americans to succeed in this new industry. Vice President Harris will break down unjust legal barriers that hold Black men and other Americans back by legalizing marijuana nationally, working with Congress to ensure that the safe cultivation, distribution, and possession of recreational marijuana is the law of the land. She will also fight to ensure that as a national cannabis industry takes shape, Black men who have for years been over-policed for marijuana use are able to access wealth and jobs in this new market. It is a stark contrast with Donald Trump, whose Department of Justice threatened federal prosecutions for marijuana in states where marijuana use is legal, threatening the unjust and disproportionate use of marijuana possession laws to put Black Americans behind bars. She put those are 5 points. Because we've been saying that conversation, what are the plans for Black men? What y'all got for Black men? What's the plan for Black men? And again, on some pettiness, I ain't seen no plan for Black women. So Black men, Here's the plan for black men. This y'all's. But with that, there was still a little bit of discourse. If she was vice president for the last 3 years, why hasn't she done any of this? She's just saying that because it's a campaign. She could have been doing this from the start. Why was she doing this? She was already in office. We've already given people the ABCs of United States government. We've already explained how the vice president essentially is there to support the president's vision and plan. And Joe Biden, this wasn't his plan for black men. Joe Biden passed some laws, and Joe Biden did a good job. People don't want to accept it, but he did. But the vice president can't make up their own agenda and just start doing it. That's not how the government works. Okay. Also, I'm not going to even get to the. I'm not even getting to Congress. I'm not fatigued. But people still was complaining. So let me play this other clip from Josh Doss, who is on TikTok. His TikTok name is Doss. I think it's Doss Discourse. Does a great job of. He's an analyst. He analyzes polls and data and things. Great creator on TikTok. Very thoughtful. Great, just great. But let me play this clip because this was also in response to the plan just being released.
Okay, now, so after 8 years of spreading misinformation about Kamala Harris's record, she locked up thousands of black men for weed. And we found out it wasn't true. They said it was when she was an attorney general in California. Then we found out attorney generals don't even prosecute weed cases in California. Then they're like, no. It was when she was a district attorney in San Francisco. So we pulled the record and we found out over the 7 years she was a DA in San Francisco, only 45 people went to prison for weed and they weren't even all black. So it was a complete lie, but it mattered. When we thought it was true, it mattered, right? So if it mattered when we thought that she locked up black men for weed, it has to matter that just this morning, she released an economic plan for black men that includes legalizing weed and making pathways for black men to make money in the cannabis industry. That has to also matter. If you are intellectually consistent, if you actually care about the things that you say you care about, one of those things cannot matter without the other thing actually mattering. And then it was, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because he gave black men a stimulus check of $1,200, right? And then we checked the records, we found out that actually it was the Democrats in Congress that gave it to black men and that, Donald Trump actually held it up and got in the way. But when you thought it was true, it mattered. Stay right there. When you thought it was true, it was enough to get your vote because Donald Trump was putting on for black men, right? Okay, so if that matters, it has to matter that Vice President Harris just released a plan for black entrepreneurs to get $20,000 in no-fault loans to start a business just this morning. That has to also matter. Be consistent, unless it was never really about helping black men in the first place. If so, then just say that. Why are you wasting our time? Just say that.
Unless it wasn't about that in the first place. Because we need to have a real discussion, and that everybody in the front of the classroom, black men, white women, black women, Asian men, everybody in the front of the classroom, we have to have a discussion. If the policy has been laid out, because if everybody talking about what's the policy, even though they know they don't care about no policy and care about no policy up until now, if the policies have been laid out and the conversation was, she don't got no plan for black men. Now that she has a plan for black men, does that mean that your vote is secure? And if not, let's just be honest and tell the truth. I feel like as human beings, we would personally get further along in life in our own accomplishments and our own journeys if we tell the truth. Just start saying, if this applies to you, I need you to just admit that you have a problem with women in leadership, or you have a problem with black women in leadership, or you hate black women, or you're jealous of black women, or you're afraid that if this black woman gets in a leadership position like this, it'll empower other black women to strive for something as grand and that makes you feel insecure. Or, I've seen this one, you mad because she married a white man. Or you mad because she ain't a Black American in the sense of her ancestry isn't in enslavement on this continent, because she's of Jamaican ancestry and Jamaicans were slaves too. So it can't be about she wasn't, there wasn't no slavery because they were slaves. Or she got Indian in her and that makes you uncomfortable. When in reality, that's the kind of women y'all be wanting to date. Y'all be wanting to date. Y'all ain't got no problem wanting to date mixed women now. Come on, we gonna come clean. I'm just throwing all out I'm just throwing out all the scenarios so that we can have everything out on the table. If it's not about the plan, then what is it? And I specifically say that because I now want to ask, we have this plan. What is Donald Trump's plan for Black men? What's the plan for Black men? When will we start to see a demand for the plan? Will we start to say that that person does not care about black men and leaving Black men behind? Will we be putting the pressure and calling to the carpet the fact that there is no plan? Will JD Vance be looped in and asked, what is the plan for Black men? Are we going to require and demand that the Republican Party explain their plan for Black men? They have outlined a plan for Black men. We know what the plan is, but I would like to know if y'all gonna specifically ask them to map it out. The plan for Black men that they already mapped out so far is bring back stop and frisk, give police full immunity, and mass deportations. That is the plan, the Republican plan for Black men. That is the red hat plan for Black men, as well as get rid of the Affordable Care Act. That's the plan for Black men. Okay. Did I mention mass deportations? Probably. That's the plan for Black men. Get rid of the Department of Education. That is the plan for Black men. So there we have it. But I want us in this final stretch, and this piece applies to Black men and Black women. If we want to have some real power come election season, I've said this a while ago and I'm going to say this again. We need to create a PAC, because everybody keep feeling like they're giving away their vote for free. But when you donate to a PAC and the PAC as a collective takes that money, because every campaign needs money. Kamala done text me 72,000 times. Or Tim Walz and them would text me that many times over the past couple of months. Talking about some money. Campaigns run on donations. And if you, a PAC of Black men or PAC of Black women, go to a certain party and say, we have $30 million. We have $30 million and it's yours if you guarantee that you will provide these things, these 10 things. Do y'all know how far that could go? But hey, who am I? I'm just talking. I'm just a girl, okay? Let me know y'all thoughts about all of this. And if you have a specific plan or ideas about what the plan for Black men or Black people should be. And Black men, I'm talking to you. I'm specifically asking you, what should the plan for Black men in America be in regards to politics, campaigns, parties, presidential candidates? Let me know. Hit me up. You can find me at Kennelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about President Barack Obama's discussion with Black men. We talked about Kamala Harris announcing her plan specifically for Black men, and a call to action to Black men in general, asking, what do Black men want? Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Kennelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is kennelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.